Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's your brother Mufasa Mujadid Al Hama, and you know I have been gone for a while, and I've been working on some things. Usually I don't get into this topic because I'm trying to bring forward more unity among, Africans, aka Aboriginals, as well as Black Aboriginals, as well as the mixture of the two. So what I'm about to speak about here, before I actually continue on to the other subjects I've been building up to, is about the recent more onslaught of Kemetic beliefs, Kemetic ideology against Islam as a whole, regardless of taking into consideration sect, school of thought, various different interpretations towards the faith. I want to point something out here, that you can't compare. Well, let me give you the basic main drop behind Islam in comparison with Kemetic beliefs or understandings, in which I myself have studied both. See, Kemetic is just science of the ancients. That's all it is. And you cannot sit there and compare that, which is a different area, with the Tawhidic aspect or the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aspect of Islam. The two are two different categories. And so for people to continuously try to make a comparison and debate with each other over it is two different subjects. Okay, and Islam itself, it actually has an area of science. So this thing about that one brother has said named Musa Disi, who says that all the religions, they're against science of any form. Well, it shows you the level of study that a person has been doing when it comes to other subjects. And I would like to give a little brief understanding here. Our view in Islam is this. I should say, I'm going to explain it to you like this. The ancients, they were into sciences. They took the sciences of the sun, the moon, the stars, and made up allegories and metaphors and things of that nature. Okay? Excuse me. I don't know what that is on me, but and when they did this, some of it came from scientific investigation and some and trial over the years, and some of it came just from philosophy. It's just thoughts. They just made up. Okay, and eventually, some people who were initiated into these sciences began to see them as actually gods and goddesses, meaning they began to worship them. They began to call them and invoke them as if they were gods and goddesses. They took them as Allah, And so then what eventually ends up happening is they begin to say there is no God. The God is in the all, in the nature. Okay. This is around the time then the prophets were sent to correct man and to distinguish between science and the belief in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the creator, or the first principle, or the first the one unseen who created everything. To distinguish those two and to tell you that nature itself is not your illah, it is not your God or gods or goddesses, although we know that the principles is just really the principles of nature. There's no such thing as a god and goddess. Okay, there's only one deity who created all things, but he created different things through stages. Okay, so Allah is al-Khaliq. He creates from things that are already there. But before he created from things that were already there, he's al-Bari, or the originator or creator from nothing. Now some people say, well, energy is never destroyed, it just transforms. My question to you is this: how do you know that? I know what you're told, but see, we don't deny that there's a such thing as called faith. We believe there's a thing called faith. My question to you is, how do you know energy is never destroyed? Energy never ends, or energy never begins. Were you there at the beginning when it didn't begin? I know that's a contradiction, right? But if you look into Kemetic beliefs, you will find there's a thing called the primordial waters. There's a thing called, and we have inside Islam the thing called the waters too. There's a thing, and then things came from that thing. Newt came from it. Before Newt is what? Atum. Before that is Atum Ra. It depends on what type of, ideology one comes from, how the order of the nature or the Nedjer or the Netarul will be manifested. But nevertheless, it still shows a sign that things were made. Things came into being stage by stage by stage. So if that's what you're meaning, that energy transforms, then that's the same thing as saying it was created. So what is the problem? Right? And the argument that something is first is ridiculous argument, because within the science itself, it shows you things evolve, things change, things come after another. So to say, let's go back to the original something, because we're not dealing with that which came later, is ridiculous. Right? Get an example. You have a car. It's an up-to-date car. You're going to trade that car in for the first car that came out in model? No, you're not. Right? So, if Kemetic science is not religion, then why are you comparing it to religion? And religion is religion, and religion is its own category. And science is its other category. So why are you comparing the two when they're on two different subjects? It's just a little brief thought. I really wasn't trying to actually get into debate, but I wanted to just put some thoughts out there. The thing about it is this: when you deviate in your sciences and you begin to say that those sciences are God themselves, then prophets come. Or the prophets came, I should say, and straightened that out. Said, no, you're wrong. Because then people started looking at themselves as the manifestation, which we are, of nature. But then they got arrogant and began to actually see themselves as gods and goddesses up on earth to determine the lives of people completely, 100%. Even had people bowing down to them and worshiping them. Thus, man took man as slavery. Doesn't matter if, here, I want to show you something. Those who claim Kemetic science speak of this wisdom that they have. Well, let me ask you something. If you knew that the European, according to the beliefs of it, were a vile, subhuman, or not human creature, that's what's said, why would you take the time in your understanding and your wisdom and your logic, being here thousands and thousands of years, why would you take the time to educate the white subhuman when you know through nature it is evil, or it is pervert in nature, according to the beliefs of Kemetic understanding? Or did you even take that chance? Wouldn't science tell you the exact number or the exact computation of this being? And why would you even take the time, waste your time on them? That's not wise. You claim this science, and this science knows, and yet the science didn't know that this low life beast, of a creature was not so perverted and could not be really taught. And the only thing that they'll do with the teachings is use it for perversion. And so even if you say that, then you taught them the sciences, and then according to you, they made, religion up or whatever. Right? You can't really pinpoint the exact person that began that making the religion up. Hmm. In any case, I'd just like to say, Islam drives a man eventually, whether first or later, to fight in the cause uh, to liberate people from oppression. We have many examples of that in history, right? So this would just be part one. I think I'll do a little series of talks and stuff on this. Uh, this is just really for people that are familiar with the subject. If you're not, then you'd probably be missing out on some things, right? But inshallah, we can get this straight. I don't want to cause a big thing, but I will eventually be speaking more on this, because I know that some people just won't get off of it. You just won't join. You just won't unite to fight a common enemy. You stay stuck on religion more than a religious man stays stuck on religion. You're so religious with your anti-religiousness. It's just so narrow-minded. You can't come off of it to unite. So, all I got to say is understand this. The insults towards Islam, like, for example, let me deal with this real quick, the slavery issue. Okay, slavery issue. The Spanish, or the Moors who went into Spain and lived 800 years and mixed blood there, by the time they came out of Spain, they were Spanish. 800 years they're mixing, they're Spanish with a Muslim title. Okay, and so of course they're going to be anti-African. They took on the Spanish type of concept, but just mixed it with the Muslim belief. Secondly, the Mamluk Turks. Okay, the Turks, they committed some slavery. But then you also have, if we're using as a premise because of slavery, don't join nothing, don't believe nothing, don't go into nothing, then what about in Nigeria, the Ero Confederacy, who practice African spiritual practices, or what you call, or what is being called African spiritual practices, and enslaved Africans and did deals with Europeans of Sodom and slavery. Right? So, then we shouldn't deal with African spirituality either. Right? According to the same premise and logic. So, understand, you're not gonna, Islam, the system of Islam is the best. And then on top of that, you have to question what school did it. Because at that time in Spain, and at that time among the Turks, or I'm just speaking for North Africa, you had a lot of those who were part of the Ibadi school, right? So, and you can see that even in, other places that had slaves too, right? So, this is just something that is going on too, right? And we have to really be clear about what school, what sect the person may have been part of, which one endorses what is interpretation. So you can't say across the board, Islam did it. Okay? We have to stop doing that, right? So, till next time, I think that'll be it for right now. But, indeed, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Power to the people. Black liberation.